How's it going, everyone? We are starting to wrap up this project here. You can see we brought in our large roll of vapor barrier. We have some of the perimeter drain out here as well as some expansion joint. You may notice though that there's no rebar out here. And this is important to highlight because we get a lot of questions on these pours because it's 50-50 that you see it. Sometimes we use rebar, sometimes we don't. On this specific job, we're using a mix of concrete that has fibers in it that gives us the same strength as rebar. So it just makes it a little bit more lightweight and we don't have to pay for rebar or anything like that. So that's what's going on down there. So if we get any questions why there wasn't any rebar in the time lapse when we do it, that's why. But with that said, we have some people over here looking at the job, checking out the progress. I'm gonna hop down, grab the cameras, and then we'll see if they leave. I'll hop back down and do the voiceover so I'm not intruding on anything. But if not, I'll just have to do a voiceover on this next section. So let's go ahead and hop down and I'll see you guys down there. Switching into the voiceover here, you can see the entrance looks pretty similar to last week. What we did this week was some more plumbing and stuff. So you can see that the perimeter drain is still there, but they had to remove some dirt here in the middle and they put in some new plumbing pipes. You can really see that here on the right side where they have that yellow material surrounding the pipes. We're going to take a closer look at that right now actually. So you can see that right here surrounding the pipe. So when we pour, the concrete doesn't form to their plumbing on that first pour. Pulling the camera back, you get a wider view of everything. Here's that perimeter drain from before. They kind of, instead of making a perfect loop around here, they had plumbing going through there, so it gets cut off right before that plumbing section. Didn't really mess around with the perimeter drain too much, and now you can see the saw cut that they did here over on the left side. As I've been mentioning before in the previous weeks, this is the bridge to the previous basement that was in this home. So now this is connected and they can take these stairs down to this new section of their home. And as you can see, the previous basement was a little bit higher than the one that we poured. So they're going to have to do a step down. And as well as that, there's a guy in there doing plumbing as well. So you can see they ripped out some of that concrete floor in there to get the plumbing through. To get a better idea of what I'm talking about, let's go ahead and walk through right here. So you can see this guy in here doing the sump pit and then some of the additional plumbing right here in the back. So there's going to be a little bit of a perimeter drain in here as well to capture that moisture. But taking our way back here, you can see kind of an older style basement, not really used. So this is going to add a lot of footprint to the home right here because they're going to finish this as well. So it's going to be an additional 2 rooms. And then back here, they still have a crawl space as well that it might be finished. So this back wall goes all the way up to the floor and doesn't have this weird hole in it. But overall, coming together really nicely. It's nice to see this bridge finally take place so you can see where the new extension meets the previous basement. Always satisfying to see everything become complete and start to fall into place. Making our way back the other way, you can see that height difference that I was talking about. So we got a little form right there. So when they pour that new concrete slab in the existing basement, they have a nice step down into this bigger room. Hopping into the time lapse, let's go ahead and see exactly what they did this week. So to start off, you can see they worked on the saw cut into the existing basement. They were able to make pretty quick work of this saw cut here. Once they got their main cuts through, they were able to just knock off those remaining bricks and crumble that wall down. And you can especially see that here where they start to take it piece by piece and slowly bring out all that material that they just tore away. With that out of the way, they're then going to form this up to add a little bit of strength and then create that step down to the additional addition that we've created down here. With the entry hole finally done, it was time for the plumbers to make their entrance. So you can see we have someone down here with a jackhammer kind of ripping up this back right section, tearing it up so they can loosen that dirt. And then they're going to put in all their pipes and materials into where the sump pit's going to go in that back room. And as you can see by the footage, not too much is going on the right side of the basement as that's pretty much finished. And then with the plumbing in, all the activities just surrounding that entry hole into that new basement area. And here comes that contractor to do all the jackhammering and plumbing. So you can see they're creating all their holes and then they're going to trench their way into that previous basement so they can put that sump pit in there. So as I mentioned before, they had to kind of maneuver the perimeter drain a little bit because it was in the way. So we might be able to see that here in a second. But once we see the plumbing come in, that's a pretty good sign that things are about to get wrapped up pretty quick here. So like I said, one more week and this is a finished product. Usually the plumbing goes pretty quickly. These guys are pretty good at what they do. Usually a day is what it takes them to plumb a basement like this. And just like that, as I mentioned, they covered all their plumbing. So pretty quick in terms of plumbing. And then once they're done with that, in goes the vapor barrier and then anything else. If we do use rebar, this is the period that this goes in as well. And then the pour usually happens on its own separate day once all that is completed and we get approval from the GC to go ahead and do the final thing. Wrapping this up here, pretty successful week. Nothing too crazy going on, but it is the final step before the grand finale. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Alright, I hope you guys enjoyed that little segment of the video. A little bit of a shorter video this week. The guys were down there working, didn't want to interfere too much, but as you can see, we saw cut into the existing basement. Another contractor was there doing all the plumbing into that basement. You can see he was working on the sump pit back there in the corner. But overall, this is coming along. I think we pour this tomorrow, actually, so they're going to get all this vapor barrier in, all this expansion joint in by the end of today, and then by midday tomorrow we should have a final pour, and then in next week's video you will see the final product. As you can see, the layout on this was a little bit weird. When you're working with these pre-existing homes, you get some wonky stuff. So as you can see, they kind of had a hallway into this basement extension. It's really fun to see when we do these projects, the kind of layouts that we get whenever we actually dig out these basements, so that was fun to see. But with that said, this is the end of the video. I hope you guys enjoyed, and we'll see you next week.